Welcome back to GFN Gaming, you astropathic f***. I'm Russ, and in today's game, I'll be running my HIVEFLEET kill team against Emma and the Tombworld. Hello. We've already rolled the mission, and in today's game, we're going to be playing Loot and Salvage. In Loot and Salvage, players get victory points each time they perform the Loot and Salvage mission action. This can be done within 1 inch of an objective marker that you control that hasn't already been looted during the turning point. Each objective marker can be looted a maximum of 3 times during the game. The Necrons are really up against it here, with this mission really favouring the more mobile teams. With a loss being an acceptable outcome and my victory all but assured, Emma has everything to play for, including ultimate bragging rights for beating me with her slow little tin men. So that is the mission, and this is the board for today's game. Before we look at the teams taking part, here's a quick overview of the terrain. These pieces of terrain will be heavy and obscuring. These areas of terrain are going to be classed as light and traversable, and these areas are going to be our vantage points. I know it's probably not a friendly choice considering the mission, but I wanted to try out some new units for my HIVEFLEET, so I've gone for a mixed team of warriors and Genestealers. I'm thinking this should give me good stealth units that I can keep scoring objectives with, and some big scary operatives to stomp around with. Leading my kill team will be my Tyranid warrior leader. None of these boys are WYSIWYG, so I've equipped him with a Devourer and bone swords. I'm taking the Devourer over the Death Spitter, as I'm hoping the Ceaseless rule will net me more hits, albeit with a lower damage output, but this should mean he's more reliable should I use his shooting, and I've gone for the bone swords because lethal 5 is very tasty. Next up is the Gunner. He's also armed with bone swords, but the big show here will be the Venom cannon. I think fluff-wise a Tyranid warrior should be immune to heavy, but you know, argue with me in the comments. Last up from the warriors fire team, and probably the biggest stretch in terms of WYSIWYG, is another warrior armed with a Devourer and bone swords. All of my Tyranid warriors are going to have extended Chitin for 9 equipment points. And then the last fire team making up the kill team will be 5 Genestealers, all armed with double Rending claws for relentless and Rending. So that's the HIVEFLEET's kill team, so let's move over and see what the Tombworld are bringing. Leading the Tombworld's fire team will be a Necron Immortal leader. He's going to be armed with a Gauss blaster, and he's going to have the Sempiturnal weave and a Starefire core, because he's the boss. Finishing off the first fire team of Immortals will be 3 more Immortals, 2 of which will be armed with Gauss blasters, and they'll also have Starefire cores. And there'll also be a Tesla carbine in there also. He'll be equipped with exactly what he deserves: nothing. Finishing off this who's who of scrap metal is a fire team of Necron warriors, all armed with Gauss flayers. That's the overview of the teams done, so let's start the game. Turn 1 initiative, the HIVEFLEET are using the blue dice and the Necrons using the green, and as you can see, the Necrons win first initiative. Emma chooses to be the defender and picks deployment zone A. The barricades are then placed, and then the Necrons deploy. Being able to counter deploy means I should be able to use tactics here. However, in this instance, I won't, because I get nosebleeds. So instead, the most I'm going to do is spread the warrior's synapse bubble out and keep all my stealers in conceal. A ravenous host of HIVEFLEET Tyranids, compelled by the hive mind, have scoured the planet Miriam 6 clean of life. As they return to the digestion pools to once again join the hive ships, long dormant warriors appear in the now empty streets. Awakened by the thought commands of the Silent King, Necrons break out onto the surface of Miriam 6 to fight the ceaseless hordes of the Devourer. In the scouting phase, and the Necrons choose Fortify, placing an additional barricade, and the HIVEFLEET are going to choose Recon, dashing forward with their leader. This means the HIVEFLEET will still have the initiative as we move into the first strategy phase. Both sides get a command point, bringing their total to 3. The HIVEFLEET have the initiative, so we're starting with their strategic ploys, and they're going to use Lurk for 1 command point, which means they can retain an additional dice for a cover save instead of just the 1. Passing it back to the Tombworld now, and they are going to use Implacable March for 1 CP, allowing them to add 2 inches to their movement but restricting their actions. We rolled up the Tac Ops Hive Fleet, opting for the Seek and Destroy archetype, ending up with Execution, Headhunter, and Rob and Ransack. The Tombworld chose the Security archetype, ending up with Protect Assets, Hold the Line, and Plant Banner. And the Tesla Carbine will be holding the banner. With that all done, we now move into the turn 1 firefight phase. So the Hive Fleet are going first, and this Genestealer is going to activate, move and dash forward to get onto Objective 3 and loot and salvage for 1 victory point. Necron Warrior is going to move his 4 inches and loot and salvage Objective 4 for 1 victory point. This Genestealer is going to move onto Objective 5 and loot and salvage for 1 victory point for the Hive Fleet. So the reason that not everyone is in the engage order to take advantage of Implacable March is that the restriction to actions means that even if the operative could get to the objective, they couldn't do loot and salvage. So in this instance, the warrior took Conceal instead and is just going to move and dash. This Genestealer is going to activate, move onto the objective and loot and salvage, getting that VP in early. Taking advantage of Implacable March to be able to get into a position to fire, the Tesla Carbine is going to walk forward and shoot at the Genestealer. 4 shots from the Immortal, hitting on 3s. Gets 3 hits and the Genestealer has a 5-up invuln. Does save 2, leaving just 1 going through for 4 damage. The Leader Bug activates now, moving and dashing. The Necron Immortal initially moved up to this cargo container to fire on the Genestealer. However, as the Genestealer has Hidden Horror, a vantage point doesn't remove Conceal, so we backpedaled that move and instead this warrior moves towards the objective, but again is unable to score it. This Genestealer moves forward, getting ready for a charge next turn. This Necron warrior moves to support the Tesla Carbine, and this Genestealer moves forward into cover, still in the Conceal order. This Immortal will move forward, does use Implacable March, so can't score the objective. Tyranid warrior with the Devourer is just going to poke his head out and gets line of sight on this Necron warrior, so he's going to fire. Using the Devourer here will be 5 shots, hitting on 4s, but it does have Ceaseless, so we can reroll any 1s. Gets to reroll that 1 with Ceaseless, and that ends up as 1 crit and 2 hits. The warrior takes a cover save and rolls the remaining 2, getting 2 successes to cancel out the crit, leaving 1 hit going through. So that's 3 damage. Back to the Tombworld now, and the Necron warrior is going to move and dash up to this barricade. First time using Tyranid warriors, so I'm maybe a little too careful here, but I'm just going to pass with the gunner out of line of sight. This Immortal is going to move over the cargo container, and this Tyranid warrior is going to fire again, this time in Overwatch. Hopefully the Ceaseless will help me out, but this is going to be 5 shots, hitting on 5s now. Can re-roll those 1s with Ceaseless, and that's just 1 hit, but it is a crit. Necron takes his auto success and rolls the other 2. Fails them both though, so that's going to be 1 crit going through for 4 damage. But with their fancy healing robot skills, he'll be up to 4 wounds in no time at all. Last activation for the Tombworld, and I think I have the Necrons worry about combat next turn, as it's just a very small shuffle for the Immortal leader that brings us to the end of turn 1. And here's a recap. The Tombworld are really showing their lack of speed here, as they've only been able to score 1 objective. Conversely, the Hive Fleet operatives have swarmed all over their board half, scoring 3 objectives. No operatives were killed, which means the Hive Fleet can't declare execution, and in fact nothing else gets declared as we move into turn 2.
I have nothing to declare but my own genius.
So I'm holding 3 objectives at the moment with my Genestealers, so with Hidden Horror, it would mean the Tombworld would have to outposition me to be able to shoot at me, and with their slow moving models, I just don't think that's a possibility. I'm also well positioned to start pushing towards the Tombworld's deployment zone and to start taking out the Immortals, and after they're gone, it's a clean sweep.
So, it's not a great start. I really think Implacable March should allow for mission actions. If that was the case, then the scores would be level. That being said, I think I'm on the back foot here. I was planning on slowly pushing my Tesla carbine up the right side for plant the banner, but there's an annoyingly big bug there, so I don't think that's gonna work. I'm trying to space out my warriors on the other side so that when he charges, he can only get one in combat and he won't hold the objective. So, let's see how it goes.
Moving into turn 2 and the initiative roll. And the Hive Fleet win the initiative, but before they start their strategy phase, it's time for them funky dancing healing robots.
Funky healing robots.
It's turn 2 and both sides are going to get one catatonic penguin. And starting with the Hive Fleet, they're going to immediately give away that penguin.
You never wanted me.
To get feed, essentially giving their first crit hit the Mortal Wound 1 rule. Moving over to the Tombworld now, and they will spend theirs on Relentless Onslaught, which means shooting attacks within 6 inches can reroll one of their attack dice. The Hive Fleet aren't going to reveal any attack ops, which leaves the Tombworld, and they're going to reveal both Protect Assets and Hold the Line. This is the area they're looking at for Hold the Line, and currently for Protect Assets, these 3 Genestealers are prime targets. That's the strategy phase now, so we'll move into the firefight phase. So I have a loose plan. If I charge forward with this Genestealer, I should be able to take out the Immortal. Assuming I do, then I'll hold objective 3. Then they'll have to shoot me with one of these guys. I should be able to then move in my Genestealers from here to take the objective and loot it, leaving my home objectives to be taken by the big bugs that have stayed back. So that's what I'm going to do. This Genestealer is going to charge forward into the Immortal on objective 3. So that's going to be 5 attacks looking for 3s and I get a full reroll. So that's 4 normal and 1 crit, but with Rending I get an extra crit because of the one I got. The Immortal gets 3 successes, and starting with the Genestealer we use the first crit to inflict damage, dealing an extra 1 because of feed. The Immortal hits back for 3 damage before the Genestealer tears him to pieces. So the combat went how I wanted it to go, but Reanimation Protocols has just been played. So he's dead for now, but he could be coming back right in that spot. Ignoring objective 2 for now, Emma will then activate this Necron Warrior and loot and salvage the objective before moving away. So as I still have one Genestealer on objective 2, the urgency for me to score it is kind of gone, so charging into the Tesla Immortal here with Feed, Rending and Relentless, I should be able to kill it with 2 hits, taking a maximum of 4 damage from my troubles, leaving me alive on 1 wound. So let's do that. As I charge in, I make sure that I'm still out of engagement range of this warrior, so he's not getting the +1. 5 attacks with a full reroll, and any crit means I can upgrade a normal hit to a crit. 4 hits but no crits, so my Genestealer's in trouble now. 3 hits for the Immortal but no crits either. Genestealer parries, then the Immortal hits for 3 damage, Genestealer parries again, and then the final 2 go through for 8 damage, but both are still alive on 2 wounds. This Necron Warrior is going to activate and loot objective 4, he's then going to fire at the Genestealer on objective 2. The Gauss Flare does have decent damage, so let's see if he's able to take out the Genestealer. 4 attacks hitting on 3s and can reroll 1 because of Relentless Onslaught. Ending up with a hit and 2 crits. Needing 5s on the invuln save and gets 2. I'm going to use a command reroll to try and get the 3rd. Doesn't get the last one, but that's only 1 going through for 3 damage. Seeing as objective 2 is still held by me, this Genestealer is going to activate and loot objective 5 and then move and dash towards objective 2. Moving back to the Tesla Immortal, and he's going to fight the Genestealer. Slightly risky, but just needs 1 hit on a 4+ now that he's injured to kill him. Gets his 2 hits, which would incapacitate the Genestealer, and we're not going to bother rolling the Genestealer's dice because the first hit would kill him. Still can be targeted by the Tyranid Warrior, so he's just going to move out of line of sight. Speaking of the Tyranid Warrior, the Tesla might be out of line of sight, but this Necron Warrior isn't, so he's going to shoot his Devourer at this guy. 5 shots hitting on 4s, re-rolling 1s with Ceaseless. Ending up with a crit and 3 successes. The Necron takes his cover save and rolls the other 2 but failed both, so he's going to be shot off the board. And with his last activation, he's just going to move on to Objective 1. Necron Immortal with the Gauss Blaster is going to fire at this Genestealer. With only 3 wounds remaining, he's pretty confident he can take him out. Hits 3 times, but only just. If he can take him out, it's going to be 1 point towards Protect Assets. Makes 1 save, but needed all 3 to survive, so the Genestealer is incapacitated. The Immortal is then going to move, grabbing some cover behind the barricade. This Genestealer is going to charge into the Necron Warrior. The averages are with the Genestealer here. He should be able to take out the Necron Warrior in 2 hits alone, receiving only 3 or 4 damage in return. Gets a crit and 3 successes, but with Rending, that's now 2 crits and 2 successes. Doesn't really matter the order here, the Genestealer parries, the Necron then hits, and then the remaining hits come through from the Genestealer, incapacitating the Necron Warrior. The Genestealer slices through the Necron Warrior and now claims Objective 6, however the Necron Immortal leader has got his eyes on him. If he can shoot him, that'll be the 2nd kill towards Protect Assets and 1 victory point. Hitting on 2s with the leader, and that's all hit and 1 crit. 3 5-up invulnerable saves for the Genestealer now, and he only makes the 1, so that's going to be 1 crit and 2 successes going through, incapacitating the Genestealer and getting them another kill for Protect Assets. So that's 1 dead on either side, and the Necron leader is then just going to move here. In a pretty good position here, this Genestealer is going to activate, going to loot and salvage Objective 3, and then just going to pass. Looking to put some damage on the big boss bug, this Necron warrior is just going to move out and shoot at the leader.
Oh, right in the keister.
Gets 2 crits and a hit, and re-rolling 1 with Relentless Onslaught. Getting 2 hits and 2 crits, the Tyranid warrior has a 4-up save. Makes 2 and gets a reroll with Extended Chitin, and gets the 3rd with a treble 6, so that's only going to be 3 damage going through, bringing him down to 16. It's the big boy's time to shine. He's going to dash out to get line of sight and then fire the Venom Cannon at the Necron Warrior. The Venom Cannon's a solid 5 shots, hitting on 4 up, doing 5-6 damage, and it's AP 1. Gets 1 crit and 2 normal successes. The Necron does make both its saves, leaving just the crit going through for 6 damage. Firing an Overwatch now, the same Necron Warrior will shoot at the big bug, -2 because he's injured and it's Overwatch. Gets 2 hits, but we do forget the Relentless Onslaught reroll. Makes 1 armor save and gets the reroll for Extended Chitin, but it's still just 1 save. So that's a success going through for another 3 damage, dropping him to 13. It's his turn to move now, and he's going to charge onto the Necron on Objective 6 and fight in combat. First time using the big bug in combat, and with Bone Sword, it's 4 attacks, hitting on 2s with lethal 5+. The Necron warrior stabs back with his bayonet, getting a crit and a normal success. Leader parries with a crit, and then it's just 3 damage going through before all the damage incapacitates the Necron warrior. With feed and those bone swords, he's managed to take out a Necron warrior and only have 3 damage taken off, so he's still got a nice healthy 10 wounds remaining. I'm going to reveal Rob and Ransack now on the leader because I think he'll survive, so I'll get the 2 victory points. I could have done it before on the Genestealer, but as you saw, he died, so I didn't want to risk it. With no more activations to go, that's the end of turn 2, so let's have a little recap of what's happened. The Hive fleet is pressed forward now, and Necrons haven't even been able to make it out of their board half. That being said, both sides have scored 2 objectives. Here's the loot and salvage tally for each objective, and at the end of the turning point with these 2 kills, the Tombworld are going to get 1 victory point for Protect Assets. So the Hive fleet have had a turn with more kills than deaths, so they're going to reveal execution so they can hopefully score this before the end of the game. So at this stage, I'm in a great position. I'm rolling well on my saves and I'm taking those Immortals out. So I'm also positioned on 4 objectives with a 5th one within reach. I've taken Headhunter, which Emma doesn't know yet because it's not been revealed, but it means she has a choice here. She's either shooting my Genestealer to try and take it off the objective, or she's shooting my leader bug to stop it charging her leader, taking it out of action and getting a victory point for Headhunter. It is in the 3rd turn, so it's just going to be the 1 victory point, but it is some reliable shooting that I could take off the board. So that's my aim. I'm going to try and charge her Necron Immortal leader with my big bug leader, take it out of combat and then hide that leader away. Because he's declared Rob and Ransack with him, it means if he survives, that's 1 extra victory point for a maximum of 2, and that's good for me. And then just continue pushing forward with my Genestealers. I've got a points lead at the moment, so it's my game to lose.
So it's gone from bad to worse. At this stage, I need to get rid of the Genestealer on objective 2 and then move onto it so that I can get it. And at the same time, push down the board edge with my Tesla banner guy to end up in their deployment zone for 2 victory points. I'm not going to score any of the objectives in their board half, which means that I need my leader to shoot their leader to death. And then for my Immortals to come back to life and claim some objectives. So if all goes extremely well for me and rubbish for us, I should maybe get 2 victory points, and he'll probably get 3. So, not looking great.
Moving into turn 3 now and the initiative roll. And the Necrons get it, so they'll be going first, but before that, let's heal up some funky dancing robots. First, let's roll for the reanimation protocols on this Immortal, and it gets a 1, so he's not coming back.
F you, dice.
At least they'll still get the funky dance of health. With that disastrous initiative phase over, let's move into the strategy phase. Moving into the strategy phase now, and both sides will get a command point, starting with the Necrons or the Tombworld, and they're going to spend that command point on Implacable March. Movement is key in this turn. Still needing to kill things in combat, the Hive Fleet are going to spend a command point on Feed. With that, no more strategic ploys are going to get played by either side, and no tac ops are going to get revealed, so now we'll just move into the firefight phase. Tombworld have the initiative, and we're going to start here with this Immortal who's going to move onto objective 2 and shoot the Genestealer. Emma manages to sneak an additional dice through there, so that's 2 crits and 3 hits because of Starefire core. I do get 2 saves, but that's still a crit and 2 normals going through, taking the Genestealer out of action. Back to the Hive Fleet now, and my leader Bug's gonna act. He's just out of a loot and salvage range of objective 6, so that has sealed the deal.
My seal deal! I gotta get to Sealand!
I'm gonna charge into the Necron leader and fight in combat. 4 attacks from the big bug, hitting on 2s. Lethal 5, so I do get 2 crits, but I'm gonna use 1 command reroll to try and get another hit. And he gets it with a 2-up. The Immortal leader gets 3 successes, but the Tyranid's gonna strike first, dealing 7 wounds because of Feed. The Immortal will deal 3 damage before he's incapacitated by the big bug. With the death of the Immortal leader, that means that the Hive Fleet have scored another victory point for Headhunters, not the full 2 because it happened in the 3rd turn. The Tombworlds will of course spend 1 CP for reanimation protocols as well. This Necron warrior will loot and salvage objective 4 for the last time, and then move on to objective 2. This Genestealer will also loot and salvage objective 3 for the last time, and then move and dash towards objective 6. Looking to deny victory points for Robert Ransack, this Necron warrior is going to move back and shoot at the leader. 4 shots hitting on 3s, and that's 4 successes. Warrior leader makes all of his 4-up saves, but that's still going to be 3 damage going through. Moving into the conceal order, this Tyranid warrior is going to loot and salvage objective 1 before moving into cover. Tesla Carbine is going to move and dash, now in the conceal order. The big gunner bug is going to fire into the Necron warrior with the Venom cannon. 5 shots hitting on 4s, and that's a great spread, 3 crits and 1 normal hit. The Necron warrior can't survive its AP 1, and there's only 5 wounds remaining, so he's taken out of action by the Venom cannon. He's then going to dash towards objective 5. And that's the end of the turn, so let's have a quick recap of what's happened. The Necrons have made a play for objective 2 and have started moving their Tesla Carbine down the field. In terms of objectives this round, the Hive Fleet scored 2 and the Necrons scored 1. Here are the remaining loot and salvage counters for the objectives. No tac ops to be revealed at the end of turn 3, so let's have a look at what the players think. So I've got a pretty decent points lead as we move into the last turn. Emma's revealed hold enemy line and priority assets already, but both of those immortals are going to have to come back and kill big targets to stop me being in a deployment zone. She's probably not getting that. And priority assets, it's unlikely she'll kill 2 that are on objectives, so again, unlikely for that. I'm not sure what the remaining tac op is, but let's assume she can get that for 2 victory points at best. She's gonna get objective 2 for 1 victory point, and if she goes first, she can probably get objective 1 as well, so that's another 2 victory points. So a really great turn for her is gonna leave her with 10 victory points at the end of the game, at like a max basically. So at the end of the game, I'm gonna get 1 victory point for execution, so I'll be up to 9. And let's say worst case scenario, she kills my leader, denying me 1 victory point for rob and ransack. Which means if I can score objectives 6 and 5, I should win the game by 1 victory point. So my plan is basically to score objectives 5 and 6, and that should be the game.
So, for me to have any chance, both immortals now have to come back to life and then both kill big targets, stopping him getting any objectives at all. And then my Tesla guy has to get into his deployment zone. It's not going to happen. Or maybe it will. Dun dun dun, dun 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 dun.
Turn 4 initiative phase now, and rolling for initiative. Hive Fleet win it, but before we go into the strategy phase, we've got some reanimation to do. For the Immortal leader, needing a 3-up. Oh, and getting a 1. That's rubbish. And the other Immortal?
Double f*** you, dice.
That's some real feel bad rolling, but we got some healing robots at least.
Funky, 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 funky.
Moving into the strategy phase now for the last time, both sides will get a CP, and we'll start with the Hive Fleet, who aren't going to play any strategic ploys. Neither of the Tombworld and neither side are going to reveal any tac ops. Straight on to the firefight phase. Starting with the Hive Fleet and activating for the last time, the leader is going to move back to objective 6 and loot and salvage for 1 victory point. The Tesla Carbine, now uninjured, is going to move and dash. This Tyranid warrior is going to activate, move on to objective 1 and loot and salvage for 1 victory point. This Necron Immortal is going to activate, loot and salvage objective 2 and then move behind this barricade. There's nothing really productive for this Genestealer to do, he's just going to move forward and pass. Not wanting to give up execution for an additional victory point, this Necron warrior is just going to move to objective 4 and pass. Last play of the game, this big bug is going to move on to objective 5 and loot and salvage for 1 victory point. That's the end of the game, let's have a quick recap. In terms of objectives scored, the Hive Fleet have got 3 and the Tombworld's got 1. At the end of the game, the leader bug survived, getting me an additional victory point for rob and ransack. I went 2 or more battle rounds killing more than got killed, so I get 1 victory point for execution. And the Tombworlds will get 2 victory points for plant banner, as that Tesla Carbine managed to get fully in my deployment zone. But at the end of the game, with a 5-point lead, the Hive Fleet do come out victorious. If I'm honest, it feels like a little bit of a hollow victory. I feel as soon as we rolled the mission, I was probably going to win with the Hive Fleet. It's probably more to do with Emma's stubbornness, very competitive. She didn't want to re-roll again. She was like, no, I will beat you on the mission that's bad for me. Is probably the only reason we continue to play the mission. But being much quicker and the Genestealers having that built-in free dash basically means they're 3 APL in terms of getting objectives. So the mission was really made for the Genestealers to win it. I'm a big fan of the Tyranid warriors. I thought they did really well. I was a little bit hesitant using my gunner. I think they're a lot more durable than I thought with that 4-up save, and if you take extended chitin to get a reroll, I actually ended up making most of my saves with them. I mean, the leader bug got shot a ton, and he ended up with, 4 wounds I think he had left. I think if the big gunner hadn't ended up killing the Necron warrior, there was a real chance that he would have killed the leader in Overwatch, but still, big fan of the big bugs. I've got some Hormiguns, and I think it would be a really good list to have all the little Hormiguns running around with some of the big bugs, so I'm going to try and paint them up and get them on the table as soon as I can. The Necrons. I like the Necrons. I think they play very thematically to how they are. It's just a shame that it ends up meaning that they're really quite bad when it comes to the objective missions. Being 2 APL anyway, and having such a slow movement. Implacable March, I'm not sure if it's meant to be that, but it really probably should include mission actions. Otherwise, it's useful if you need to move and shoot, but quite a lot of these missions you're going to need to move and then claim an objective. And to have to use that just to get the same movement as everyone else, to then not be able to claim an objective is a little bit like, ugh. But then is it fluffy? Is that they are kind of just these lumbering robots that destroy everything? Would they really be looting? Probably not. It's obviously a real shame about the reanimation protocols. Failing them every time does kind of suck. What can you do? It does suck though. Anyway, thanks if you've made it this far. Thanks so much for joining us on this game. If you like this kind of video, please like, subscribe, comment, share. We're still trying to grow the channel. It'd be cool to be able to do this a little bit more frequently for you guys. Anyway, thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next video.